Okay, so today we're going to learn about simple interest and calculating the percent of increase and decrease. You need to be in page 170 of your book. You're going to have to deal with the terrible handwriting on this. So this first problem talks about simple interest, and this one is something you're going to want to underline or highlight or something like that because this is very important for today's lesson. So when you have simple interest, it gives this example right here about when you have a bank account, you have a checkings and a savings account, and when you have money in your savings account, the bank every month gives you a small, it's very small, but they give you a very small percentage of money back to you. And the equation that they use, and this is the important equation that you need to have memorized, is I equals P R, T. So your P and your R and your T are all next to each other and they're going to be multiplied together. So down here in this problem, it says that Kim deposits $300 into a savings account, simple interest rate of 5% per year. So they want us to figure out the interest she is going to have after 3 years. So this 3 years is going to be our time. The rate is going to be our 5%, and remember, this is important that you need to remember to convert your percents into decimals, so like they did here, it's 0.05. And the principal is your original amount, so that was her $300 that she put in. The interest is going to be what's going to come out of that. So when they multiplied all three of these together, they figured out that the interest is this $45. And so if you wanted to know how much she had total now, you would just take this $45 that she earned in interest and add it to your $300. Next, turn to page 172, problem 2. This right here talks about percent increase, and it's another part that we're going to want to highlight. So right here, you're going to need to use this a lot in your homework for today. So whenever you're wanting to find the percent increase, you're going to use the amount of increase over the original amount. So percent increase occurs when the new amount is greater than the original amount, such as when a store marks up the price they pay for an item in order to make a greater profit. So then if we scroll down, they have this table that they're wanting us to fill out. So it tells you the cost in dollars for a ring, and then the customer price. So if I wanted this ring, I'd have to pay $90, but the store got it for $60. So the difference of those two is $30. Wow, that's a terrible 3. Sorry. And then they want us to be able to find the percent increase. So in order to do that, we have to, looking above, take the amount of the increase over the original amount. So that's going to be our 30 over our 60. And if you did this in your calculator or in your brain, because you can just go ahead and cross out these two zeros, you're going to have 3 over 6, which I hope that you can figure out is going to be 0.5. Now notice that they asked us for the percent. They did not ask us for a decimal, so we're going to convert it, and we're going to just move it over 2 decimal places, and it's going to be 50. So your final answer should say 50%. Go ahead and pause the video now, and I want you to finish doing the same thing we did here, where you have your amount of increase over your original amount, and then I want you to finish filling in this table. Now go ahead and check yourself and make sure that you got these same answers. Okay, moving on to the next page. Now they talk about percent decrease, which is also super important for your homework. So now percent decrease is the same, but now it's per amount of decrease over the original amount. So highlight, star, underline, whatever you want. Then the other super important thing in this page is the depreciation, and this is the decrease in value over time. So let me give you a few examples. If I buy a car, is it going to be worth the same amount 5 years from the day I bought it? No. That's one example. Another example could be a house, or say I buy a tractor because I'm a farmer, because you guys know me. Those are all examples of things that can depreciate over time. So again, we have this table and they want us to finish filling it out. So they're using the car example. They have the original price was $20,000. The value after 1 year was 15,000. So the difference of those two numbers is 5,000. So 5,000 right in here. And then they want us to figure out the percent decrease. So in order to do that, we have to have the amount of the decrease over the original amount. So the amount of the decrease was the 5,000. This is going to be tight. So we have our 5,000, and then we're going to divide that by the original amount of the 20,000. And then you're going to go ahead and divide that. I don't care if you do in your head or if you use your calculator. So if you want to do in your head, cross off all the zeros, you're then going to have 5/20, which if you do that, it's going to be 0.25. And again, remember, they do not want it as a decimal, they want it as a percent. So we're going to set this equal to 25%. I don't expect you to show all that work because you are brilliant scholars and can do it in your head or in your calculator. But go ahead and pause the video and finish filling out this. Okay, so go ahead and check your answers and make sure that you got the same thing. If you struggled with any of that, if you still have questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask me to come over and help you. And we're just going to go over number 3 real quick. So it says, how do you know if the percent is a decrease or an increase? I hope you can just look at it and figure it out, but in case you can't, one way you know is if the original price or cost is less than the selling price or value, it is a percent increase. And then if the original price or cost is greater than the selling price or value, it is a percent decrease. So go ahead and jot a little bit of that down just so you have something to go back to. Okay, so on this next page, 174, if you go to problem 3, it starts talking about depreciation, and it wants you to figure out if you have a new car and it depreciates after the first year, and it tells us above that it's 12%. How much would it cost after 1 year? So you're going to take your 35,000 and you're going to multiply it by your 12% or your 0.12. So when you do that, you should get 4,200, and do not forget to include your units, which in this case is dollars. Then I want you to go ahead and do the same type of thing, but I want you to do B, so figure out how much a car would cost figure out the same thing, but for B. Go ahead and check your answer. And then this is the last problem that we're going to do together. It says, if a car lost $3,600 in the first year, what was the original cost of the car? So we're going to use cross multiplying and dividing. So if you have that a car costs $3,600, and then we're going to set that equal to our 12/100, which realize all we're doing here is the part over the whole, just like we talked about in previous lessons. So this is the same thing. It's my 12%, which we all know, and there's 100%, so it's just my 12/100. And then this is the 12%, what they lost, and we have to figure out what the original cost of the car is. So we're going to cross multiply and divide like you all know how to do. And we're going to get that 12x is equal to 360. And add another one right there. Last step, we're going to divide both sides by 12. And you are going to find that the original cost was 30,000. So you need to write the original cost was 30,000, and don't forget your units of dollars.